Well, the president's son, Hunter Biden, has been charged with new tax crimes in California. He's accused of spending, quote, millions of dollars on an extravagant lifestyle rather than paying his tax bills. These new charges include 3 felony counts and 6 misdemeanors. The indictment does not mention his father, President Biden. In a statement, Hunter Biden's lawyer said, based on the facts and the law, if Hunter's name was anything other than Biden, the charges in Delaware and now California would not have been brought. So for more on this, we are joined by CBS News reporter Robert Legare and CBS News legal contributor Rebecca Roiphe. Thanks, guys. I'm going to start with you, Robert. Walk us through what this indictment says.
Hey, yeah, good morning, and thanks for having me. So Special Counsel David Weiss and Justice Department prosecutors allege in this 56-page, 9-count indictment filed last night that Hunter Biden, President Biden's son, engaged in a years-long scheme to avoid paying $1.4 million in federal income taxes. Now, the prosecutors allege that Hunter Biden, during the years 2016 through 2019, earned millions of dollars but did not pay his taxes, even taking a deduction one year, false deductions one year, to decrease his tax liabilities in 2018 to decrease what he had to pay. So that is what special counsel alleges he did on the tax front. But he also alleges that Hunter Biden used the money that could have gone to taxes to fund a lavish lifestyle, things like exotic cars, luxury hotels, and escorts. So this is what the special counsel alleges. It is important to know as well that this Hunter Biden's attorney earlier this year, his former attorney earlier this year, said that most of these taxes were paid back. But here the special counsel lays out a pretty sprawling alleged scheme that he says the president's son engaged in.
So, Rebecca, I mean, Hunter Biden paid these taxes, didn't pay them on time. That's the allegations, but he paid them. So how serious are these charges?
They're quite serious. I mean, certainly paying back the taxes may go to the appropriate sentence that he receives for this conduct, but it is not an excuse. If you willfully fail to file your tax returns, willfully defraud the IRS of certain amounts of money, and claim deductions that you are not warranted, that is a crime. So these are serious charges. And, one of the, I think, the striking things about the indictment is how well it lays out that he knew that he owed this money and yet repeatedly, consistently failed to pay it and instead used the money for his own personal lavish lifestyle.
Robert, how could these charges impact the existing felony gun charge that he faces in Delaware?
Right, and to Rebecca's point, those gun charges, that indictment that we saw, or the charges that we saw in Delaware on that gun charge, was a relatively short indictment. This is 56 pages. But what's going to happen now is that these will go on 2 separate tracks. Our viewers will likely know that another special counsel charged Donald Trump with 2 separate indictments in 2 separate districts. This will go on the very same way. There's going to be a court hearing in days or weeks where he will be arraigned on these charges. Hunter Biden already pleaded not guilty to the charges in Delaware, and so those will continue with one judge, and these new charges will continue with another one in California. Prosecution teams will file briefs. The president's son's attorneys will then file their own, and these will continue as they would in any normal case, likely not interfering. It's important to note that when the president's son first went to court earlier this year on a plea agreement on the tax charges and a diversion agreement on the gun charges, there was some level of coordination there between his defense team and the prosecutor, saying, we're going to, you can enter into a plea agreement on these charges, enter a diversion agreement on the gun charge. There's very little coordination here, it appears, between the gun charges in Delaware and now the tax charges in California. And again, they will likely continue on 2 separate tracks in 2 separate courtrooms across 2 separate parts of the country.
So, Rebecca, you heard the statement, a portion of the statement from Hunter Biden's attorney, basically saying, listen, if his last name wasn't Biden, they don't think any of these charges would be filed. What's the possible defense?
Well, there are legal challenges and then there are defenses. So the legal challenge here will be that this is a selective prosecution. We've seen the former president bring similar legal challenges that have repeatedly failed, and it is an extremely hard legal challenge to win. But he's certainly trying to set that up and suggest that the prosecutors here are going after him simply because of his last name and for political reasons. I think on the legal front, he's going to claim that this was not willful, that he was going through an extremely hard time. He had well-documented substance abuse. His brother had died. He was going through a divorce. And so while he basically understood what was going on, as they allege, it was not willful in that it was, he wasn't in control of his conduct during that time and therefore wasn't willful evasion. It was a sort of accidental, uncontrolled evasion.
Gotta wonder. That doesn't sound like the strongest argument when I think of other crimes committed while people are dealing with substances, perhaps under the influence. That usually is not the strongest defense. But what happens next? I presume that whatever it is that happens next, they got to start, throwing things at the court to try and get these things thrown out.
Right. Well, I mean, he will appear in court. He will be arraigned. He will plead likely, not guilty to these charges. And then those legal challenges will proceed, as will, discovery and his effort to discuss with prosecutors potential plea agreements, if that's still a possibility.
All right, Rob, Rebecca, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
With this indictment, the president will now be campaigning for a second term and facing a Republican impeachment inquiry, all while his son fights to avoid prison in 2 criminal cases. Earlier on CBS News Mornings, I asked our Nancy Cordes if the administration can separate itself from Hunter's legal troubles.
The White House has said no comment to these latest charges, and that is par for the course. They generally refer us to DOJ, to Hunter's attorneys, for 2 reasons. Number one, as you point out, this isn't the greatest topic for them. But number 2, because they don't want to look as if they are trying to influence the legal process in any way. But the president, on the rare occasions when we have an opportunity to ask him about his son, he generally says that he loves his son, he supports him. We obviously see them together. They were just together over the Thanksgiving holidays. The president says that he's proud of his son for pulling his life together. But clearly, this is going to keep Hunter Biden front and center throughout 2024.